I'm Mark. This is my June review for Pisces Sun, Sun and Pisces Rising. This month we have our two major aspects of the year becoming exact, and we have our first solar eclipse of the year. Now, on the first of the month, the Sun makes a conjunction with the Moon's North Node. Now, for you Pisces, this is in your fourth house, so there's a little bit of a contradiction here. It's a difficult one to read because the fourth house is related to our past and the South Node. So having the North Node in that house makes it a bit hard to understand and get to grips with. It's almost like it's you're going back to the future, so to speak. But it could be that you need to use your talents from the past in a new and exciting way to change your lifestyle, to change your career, or change where you live. Do you reinvent yourself as opposed to your existing talents from the South Node, because the South Node's in your 10th house. This conjunction of these two is very much connected to putting yourself, your whole self into something. The Sun is our core, our being. So you need to put your whole self into something now and be brave and take it forward. The North Node is a scary place because it's unfamiliar territory. We need to push with that. The other aspect we have on that day is the Sun makes a aspect to Chiron. Now Chiron's in your second house finances, so there could be some past wounds here to heal regarding finances, and there could be a good turn in financial matters that will benefit you with this connection with the eclipse that's coming up. On the second, we have our major aspect of the year, a square between Saturn and Uranus coming into a tight orb, and will be exact on the 14th of June. Now, this is the second time it's become exact. First time was in February, and the third time will be on the 24th of December. So this is a year-long aspect, and it'll probably have effect going into next year as well. So what does it mean? Well, Saturn is our structure. Saturn is represents everything that's organised and strong and solid. Uranus is the rebellious planet that wants change and wants independence and freedom. So these two are at loggerheads. This is why we have a lot of civil unrest, and there's a lot of issues about social justice going on at the moment, because these two are at loggerheads and they're both in fixed signs, so neither planet is going to give on this one. Now, one way forward would be to use Chiron, because the second biggest aspect that comes into orb in a few days' time is Chiron Saturn. This could be the key. We'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. Right, in Greek mythology there's a big battle between Saturn and Uranus, and out of the battle Venus was born. So this is a good side effect of this tremendous aspect that seems to be fighting each other out. Now Venus being born out of this, this aspect is related to raising the awareness and the status of women in society. And we can see last time these two together in the 70s, Mrs. Thatcher became the first female Prime Minister of England. This time, when these planets come into orb, back in the beginning of the year, we had our first female Vice President in the US. And recently there's been breakthroughs in sport when Rachel Blackman was the first female to win the famous Grand National Horse Race. So this aspect has a positive side effect, as well as the locked-in struggle that's going on at the same time. It can also bring freak weather conditions as well. The key to any aspect is understanding. This square affects all of us in some way. Those of us that got personal planets that link in are affected more deeply and acutely. The key with understanding for you Pisces is that Saturn is in your 12th house and Uranus is in your 3rd house. Now, Uranus is in the conscious mind, so the unrest, the need for change will be in your conscious mind, but the structure, the inbred structure, is in your unconscious. Saturn sitting there in the unconscious is not going to give up, so you're going to have to break it down by understanding. And there's an aspect on the second between Mars and the Black Moon Lilith, who's also in the 3rd house, which will help you to understand the motives that are going on, why you need the change and what needs to be done, and then you can work with it. This is slow change. This aspect goes to the end of the year, so this is slow change, and it needs to be creative change rather than destructive change. On the 3rd, Venus moves into the 5th house and the sign of Cancer. Immediately makes a trine to Jupiter, so this will make you very gregarious. You want to go out and have some fun and enjoy yourself. Saturn makes a positive aspect to the Sun, so you'll be willing to organise things, maybe organise events for friends to get together. On the same day, there's the start of a 5-day aspect when Mercury squares Neptune. Now this is always a little bit tricky because the mind is a little bit foggy, but for you Pisces, because Neptune's in your 1st house, this can be a time of great spiritual uncovering. This can be a time when you discover things that maybe you wouldn't on a normal day, because your mind will be distracted slightly, and maybe you can get to different heights. Maybe it's a good chance to meditate or do some other spiritual pursuits and see what insights you can get into this. On the 4th, we have a very powerful opposition between Mars and Pluto. Now, an opposition is something we usually meet head on. So this could be a power struggle. If it is a power struggle, then you need to enlist the help of others. The 11th house is about friends, colleagues, associates. So enlist the help of others if you're going to take on the fight. Don't do it alone, because it may just be so big, so unsurmountable that you just give up. The positive aspect, the positive side of this aspect is it can be a culmination of great effort and joint work that comes to great fruition at this time. Then on the 6th we have another opposition. This time it's between the Sun and Juno. The Sun's in the 4th house, Juno in the 10th. So here you're going to meet some opposition, and it could be to do with home and career, balancing home and career. It could be to do with leadership. Maybe it's time you want to take leadership of something, or maybe it's time you need to let someone else take leadership. But these could be issues that come up with this opposition. Also, there's a lot to do with commitment with this, give and take and commitment. On the 7th, Pluto's involved again. This time it's a positive aspect with the Black Moon Lilith. And Black Moon is in your 3rd house, Pluto in the 11th. So this is a time to examine friendship relationships with colleagues and associates, and see where you can create a bit more harmony so they run smoothly. The other thing is, with the 11th house, you have to have realistic goals and dreams. Don't be fooled into something that's too idealistic. Keep things real. Then on the 8th, it's the second biggest aspect of the year. This is Chiron making a sextile to Saturn. Now this links into that square we were talking about a minute ago. This is where Chiron can bring understanding and healing and wisdom to this square aspect. Chiron's orbit is between Saturn and Uranus, and he can be the bridge between the two worlds. Saturn, as we said, is our structure, and it's the last visible planet, whereas Uranus is about change and rebelliousness, and Uranus is the first invisible planet. Now, with Chiron in this position, you need to put all the effort into understanding this square and the tensions that it brings. So have a think about what the structure is in your life, and have a think about all the things you want to change, and then use Chiron's wisdom and healing to try and make this aspect work within your own chart. On the 10th we have our solar eclipse, first one of the year, and it's in Gemini at 19 degrees. So any of you who have planets in mutable signs, that's Pisces, Virgo, Gemini or Sagittarius, around 15 to 26 degrees, then you're going to be affected by this quite acutely. This eclipse belongs to the Saros 5 North series, which is renowned for bringing hunches through dreams, visions, messages through the unconscious or the psychic realms, and if you get anything like this, you must act upon it, because it's a message to point you in the right direction. In Gemini there'll be an overload of information. there'll be information coming at you at all angles and directions, and it's a good time to organise as well. Being in your fourth house, it's going to be connected to the home, so there could be a change of home, there could be changes within the home. You may want to refurbish or rebuild your home, but that's where the concentration is with this eclipse, and this will last for some time. The other thing is to balance home with career, because the 10th house will obviously be the opposite house. On the 10th, we have another aspect that can give you some insight into the Saturn-Uranus square. Now, Ceres, the asteroid, makes a conjunction with Uranus for 3 days. This time you can delve into things, delve into your mind and see how comfortable Uranus is with this. Because Ceres is about nurturing and caring, especially for friends, family, relationships. So you need to see how this sits, because Uranus wants independence and freedom. So it may be there's some uncomfortable things come up at this point, but then you'll be able to see where the changes are needed. Also, on the same day, there's a conjunction between the Sun and Mercury, and this may make it difficult for you to express yourself or explain yourself to others, because Mercury's retrograde and there may be a difficulty in putting your thoughts or feelings into words. On the 12th, Mars moves into Leo and he's ignited with fire energy, and it's also your 6th house, so it's a good time to get on and apply yourself to daily routines and jobs. Venus makes 2 aspects on the same day. The first one to Uranus as a sextile, and means she'll want some excitement. She'll want to do and try different things. The other aspect is a square to Chiron, so this is a more challenging one, but it's good to try and think up new ways to improve your financial situation with this, and also to look at past hurts and see if you can heal any of those. Then on the 13th, there's a square between the Sun and Neptune, Neptune being in your first house. This is great for any spiritual pursuits. It's great for the imagination or anything that involves creativity and imagination as well. But you may be a little bit low on that day because this aspect sometimes can bring your health down very temporarily, but it won't last, so don't worry. On the 20th, Jupiter goes retrograde until the 18th of October, and the lesson to be learned while Jupiter's retrograde is to develop an awareness of the self and to get to know yourself. Then on the 21st, there's a fantastic aspect between Venus and Neptune. Neptune being in your first house, Venus in the 5th house. This is a very creative, imaginative aspect. And this is a day when the sky's the limit, you can come up with some fantastic ideas and you can put them into physical form as well. The Sun moves into Cancer on that day in the 5th house, so there's a stronger emphasis coming on the 5th house over the next month. On the 22nd, Mercury goes direct, and this should help to improve the flow of information and communications in the coming weeks. On the 23rd, Venus makes the same opposition to Pluto as Mars did, and is equally as powerful. Venus is in the 5th house of love, so in this instance a love relationship can be transforming and have great benefits and bring forth changes. On the negative side, there could be impulses come up from the unconscious, and you could be having irrational behaviour or indiscreet behaviour which you may regret, so just be aware of yourself at this time. There could also be slight struggles, power struggles with friends with this aspect. On the 24th, we have the full moon. Full moon's in Capricorn in your 11th house. Now the full moon in the 11th house is about friends, colleagues, group activities, so there could be an influx of this type of thing now. Maybe that you've been working on your own, or you've been in solitude for some time, and now there's an influx of activity around friends and groups. It could be that you're called upon to be a spokesperson for a group, or to do something within the group, a task, or it could be that there's a friend in need who you need to give a bit of help to or support. Also, the 11th house is about your goals and dreams, aims for the future. This is a good time to evaluate these and see which ones are no use anymore, and update your goals for the future. There's another aspect on the same day. This is an aspect between Venus and the Black Moon Lilith, and this is good because this can help you to see what's best for you and to align yourself with that. On the 25th, Neptune goes retrograde in your first house until the 1st of December. Then we can work with this energy while it's retrograde, and the lessons here are to face reality, to develop awareness and to set goals that are in keeping with who we are and where we want to be. On the 27th, Venus moves into Leo and Mars makes a positive aspect to the Moon's North Node. And this is where we started the month, when the Sun made that conjunction to the North Node. Mars is now saying, let's get on and do this now. Let's push forward. Going in the direction of the North Node is always fearful because it's unknown territory. But Mars is saying, let's grab the bull by the horns and go down that avenue, go down that new road. On the 30th, the last aspect, Mars makes an opposition to Saturn. Now, this causes irritation, it causes frustration, can cause anger, and it can cause blockages as well. So it's a difficult one to overcome. But this one's even harder because it also plugs into the square between Saturn and Uranus. So Mars will form a T-square. T-squares are very challenging because they're made up of two squares and an opposition. Now, I say the way to handle this is always through the empty end of a grand cross, and that would be the house of the 9th house and the sign of Scorpio for you. So the best way is to put energy into that area. The 9th house is about learning, it's about discovering new things, it's about adventure, it's also about your beliefs. So if you can concentrate on this area, it fills that empty void and will turn the challenging aspects of the T-square into the dynamic energy of a grand cross. Thank you for watching my review. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please subscribe, and if you'd like to leave a message, I'll be glad to hear from you.